okay, he's this guy who, you know who he is, but he's a guy who did a little bit of taekwondo in a McDojo, and now he wants to revolutionize taekwondo according to him. And then you're the guy who actually has true experience in taekwondo and other martial arts, and you're the one who's giving it. It would be the same concept. You want to give more functionality to it, but you're doing it the correct way. That guy is just watching movies and talking shit about. But you've seen it. I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to be really, like too direct. You can just give me a diplomatic opinion about it.
Yeah, I'm really just trying to take Taekwondo back to the way it used to be. Is all I'm trying to do. You know, I'm not trying to reinvent it or anything. That's the way it was back in the '60s. You know, they punched, they kicked, they grabbed, they did all sorts of crazy, more practical stuff, and that's really what I want to do. And I, when I was back in the '90s, when I was coming up through my color belt ranks or whatever, my old original instructor, he was really old school. He was an American instructor, but he was from the military. And that's where he picked up his Taekwondo, which is where most American Taekwondo came from, was from Vietnam. Mm-hmm. The Koreans spread it to the American military there, and they used it in Vietnam, and then the Vietnam American soldiers brought it back. And he was one of the guys that was in the military and had it from then. And so he taught the old school ball of the foot, like we talked earlier, real strict. We had hardwood floors that we had to fall on and throw each other on, I just miss that old real training.
Same with me. I train with hard wood floors most of my life, and sometimes guys from other countries are surprised, like, whoa, you guys train on hardwood. But that's just the way it used to be before. We still do that some here in Latin America just because we have no budget. But that's the best way. Actually, I feel uncomfortable on a softer surface. Like I have a harder time with my balance, for example, because I'm used to the hard floor. But
I can see that.
Yeah, you're right. It used to be not only Taekwondo, just all traditional martial arts in their original form. They were all very effective and they're hard styles, It's just with the passing of time and commercialization, things have become softer.
Right.
But yeah, I agree. If you watch competition, either Taekwondo from the WTF or ITF in the 80s and 90s, they would kick the crap out of each other. They were very hard and technical fighters. It's just in the last 20 years that things have really gone downhill, especially in the US. You guys have a lot of McDojangs there.
Yeah, we do.
It's starting to happen here also. But people here still practice martial arts for actual fighting because there's a lot of violence in Latin American society. Is insane. But
yeah, in the U.S., a lot of them are kind of like glorified daycare for children.
But that's sorry. I just want to say something. In Korea, it's the same. I don't know if you know. I lived in Asia, and it's really they just want to get their kids out of the house. So.
Yeah, and on one hand, it's like, does a 4-year-old kid really need to know how to defend themselves against getting attacked from a mugger? Probably not, But there is a certain cutoff point where you really need to start getting these kids in tune with reality. Don't let them go until they're, 17, and then kick them out on the street. Say, oh, here you go, you can defend yourself. You're not going to.
I actually think the best age to start martial arts is when you're 12 or so, because then your body actually develops enough strength to hurt another human being of the same age, right? So, and you are more aware of pain and injuries and such things that when you're a child, you're not aware of, just from a psychological point of view. Also, your body is developed enough so that you're actually controlling your motor skills properly. So for me, I started when I was 11 years old. I think that's a good age to start. If they start from too young, they just see it as a game.
Right. Yeah,
that's my opinion, though. But
that's a good point. Yeah, and they do try to make it a lot of like kids games and stuff where they'll throw a tennis ball around or whatever, and I could see where it's no longer a game, it's no longer fun, and then they lose interest in martial arts, and then they just quit altogether.
That was a disappointing side of it for me while I was living abroad. But when I used to go to Japan all the time, and I just took a ferry and I would go to Osaka. Fukuoka, and I've been to Osaka and Kyoto. And when I visited Japan, I practiced with the Taekwondo guys in Japan, and I also with the Karate guys. But and I visited really huge dojos just to observe, where they were practicing judo and kendo and some other arts. They were all together in separate areas, but they're all together. The respect and concentration was extraordinary. The little kids, 6-year-old kids, extremely focused and respectful. If the teacher talked, no one was talking. It was amazing. You don't see that in the West. Like even in Korea, you wouldn't see that. The Japanese have a different, like there is the only place in the world I've seen where little kids actually train like warriors. They're extremely focused, but it's a different culture, you know. We can't do that in our side of the world.
Yeah. Too much SpongeBob.
Yeah, too much nonsense. They have a different, the mentality and mindset there is completely different. Once they are doing an activity, they're solely focused on that. And with martial arts, they have such respect and tradition. I remember I was with 2 other friends. We went to a temple in Kyoto, and we took our dobokes with us just to take photographs. And we changed there in the temple, walking around, and little kids were walking and seeing us with the dobok, and they were like, "Os," you know, the os thing. It's like a sign of respect in Japan. Os, os. It was hilarious. But even the little kids already have this ingrained in their culture, you know. But here you see like little brats running around, picking their nose, like wearing a t-shirt with a belt. Oh God.
Where are you again?
I'm in Argentina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I speak English because I grew up in Europe. I also lived in Asia and Central America. I lived all over the place. So
okay.
Typically, Argentinians don't speak proper English. They talking like this, if normal Argentina guy. But
there's a lot of wild dogs in Argentina, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot of wild everything. Wild humans too. I mean, we're like in Latin America, we're supposed to be culturally the most developed country, but still Latin America is full of problems. You said you were in Oregon right now?
I'm in Arizona right now.
Arizona, sorry.
Yeah, I was in Oregon.
So are you going to get more active with your YouTube channel?
I got to figure out what to do first with finding an actual gym or what I want to do. I'm not sure if I want to just go into like an MMA gym and just go in and be a student. I don't know if I want to go into like a BJJ gym that doesn't have a striking program. Maybe I can get a slot and teach some striking. That's kind of what I did with my MMA school before they moved into my gym. And then, I don't know if I want to just completely do my own thing. I'm not sure.
But you just want to dedicate yourself to martial arts.
Yeah, and I still have a day job. I have a normal day job too. So that keeps me busy too. So, but I still want to continue with my FTF stuff, Freestyle Taekwondo, and just figure out where the next step is. I kind of had to put it on hold for a while because I knew I was going to move, and then I had my MMA gym move into my Taekwondo school. So everything kind of just put it on hold for a little while, and I think I'm just got to figure out what the next step is for 2019.
Yeah, well, 2019 in the Chinese horoscope or calendar or zodiac or whatever is the year of the pig. It's a year for, traditionally it's good for business and prosperity and good fortune. So this would be a good year if you want to start a business. Do it now.
Yeah. I actually had a guy from the UK get a hold of me, and he was interested in kind of being like an affiliate in the UK, and that is one direction I thought about taking my FTF. Is I want the FTF to be like a viable alternative to ITF and WTF. I want there to be competitions, and you can get rank, or you could be a school or whatever. And so I talked to that UK guy. I haven't got in touch with him lately because it was in the middle of my move, but I need to get in touch with him to kind of see if anything would happen with him. And I also just today and yesterday, I've been communicating with a guy in Australia, kind of the same thing. He's been throwing a lot of ideas my way and a lot of supportive suggestions. And so people are interested. I mean, I think people do want to, they don't want to see Taekwondo die. A lot of people are into it, and they see its value. They see it still has good techniques, and if you train it, just like we talked about earlier, if you train it the right way, it's a highly effective martial art.
And the way that you've approached things and how you handle yourself, you're an intelligent guy who's doing things properly. so people will take you seriously.
Yeah,
I think it's got what you're doing. You're going about it the right way. It's got a lot of potential.
I hope so. I'm trying not to just sound like an asshole that says, my taekwondo is better than your taekwondo and you suck. I want people to see, hey, here's some extra skills that you can add. There's a lot of struggling taekwondo schools. A lot of them in the States. Like we said earlier, there's a lot of the McDojos, and a lot of them don't want to adapt and kind of modernize, and because MMA is pushing a lot of them out. A lot of people are going to MMA.
Something I've seen. We had a chat with a guy. His channel is called the McDojo Chronicles. He was learning Taekwondo at a McDojang. They would have like weird belts and made up system and stuff. And they were selling their training program as learning weapons and jiu-jitsu and I don't know, this and that and kickboxing. It was just Taekwondo at a really poor level. But they were branding themselves as they were teaching all sorts of fighting styles and stuff. That's another thing. Some Taekwondo schools, just for business purposes, they will pretend to teach you all sort of things, but they're not really teaching you anything. That's another thing. The important thing is to have teachers who know what they're doing. And you obviously have a great background. You know about the stuff that you actually want to do. You know what you're doing. So
yeah,
unlike other people who are out there.
Yeah, and when I had my my combined school, my Taekwondo and my MMA gym, we had a win rate above 90% with our fighters, and we even had some pros. We have a Bellator fighter. We've done a lot of the. There's about 4 or 5 major local promoters that we've done fights with. Even USA Boxing, we were a USA Boxing sanctioned gym, so we did USA Boxing events as well.
Cool. My first guess is that they would have a better, like we said before, a better technical base to rely on, and that would give them an edge. That's what the first thing I think when you tell me. Before I forget, there's actually there's a line of Taekwondo in Japan that is full contact Taekwondo. Some guys went through what we're talking about now. They went through it already, like a lot of years ago, like 20 years ago, and they created a version of Taekwondo that's basically kickboxing mixed with Taekwondo. They just started applying low kicks and proper boxing. There's a famous Japanese kickboxer called Keiji Osaki who comes from that line. I'll send you some links later, or you can Google him. Keiji Osaki is a Taekwondo fighter, but he comes from that full contact Taekwondo. I don't know what it's called. It's a Japanese line of Taekwondo. It's just Taekwondo, but they added low kicks and boxing techniques. That's really good. So the kicks are all pure Taekwondo, and they still do patterns and stuff. So that's a proper modern adaptation of Taekwondo. And K1 comes from karate. They just the same thing. They decided, hey, karate needs to be modernized. So they merged kickboxing with karate, and that's K1.
Yep. Have you seen, there's a new karate, I think it's called combat karate or something?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. Actually, Basrutin is a speaker for that. He's promoters. He's a commentator on that. I've seen it, but there's still, it's Shotokan karate, but full contact.
Right.
But they're still using, they haven't added things, like they should add low kicks, for example. They've kept the exact same rules of like the typical Olympic karate. They just made it full contact and continuous. I think they should modify it a little bit, just add low kicks and freestyle boxing, in my opinion. But they want, what the objective they had from all I've seen there when they were promoting it is, they wanted to showcase traditional karate as an effective full contact style using the clean techniques that they have without modifying it too much. But I think the whole point is you need to modify things a little bit now. The hands especially. My kickboxing coach comes from Kyokushin and Taekwondo like me, and he was talking to me the other day. The problem with us martial artists is we don't know how to box. We're used to
we're definitely not going to definitely not going to do the the hip punches.
Yeah, even the Kyokushin guys, we punch from the neck down, and you can do a lot of damage bare knuckle, but once you get to actual proper boxing, it's like fucking, like, what would happen? I would get close range and I wouldn't see the punches coming. I wouldn't know also punching with boxing gloves is like punching with big pillows in your hand.
Yeah.
I couldn't do any damage until after a whole year of training. So there's a whole adaptation that has to go. The best thing is to create a hybrid between the two things, bare knuckle and boxing gloves. There is, again, there is value in the traditional punching, even though most people will tell you there isn't. There is a value in that, but you need to combine it and modernize it with more modern techniques.
Yeah, a lot of people say all these things that Taekwondo does creates bad habits, and I disagree. It only creates bad habits if you don't have something else to create the good habit. Taekwondo is missing that thing that creates the good habits. They don't have the hands here.
Mm-hmm.
If I've done thousands of forms, I've done thousands of hundreds of thousands and millions of these punches like this. I don't box like this. I have my hands up here. Taekwondo has not created any bad habits with me because I was also trained in these things that corrected. I had the outlet, I guess, to fix anything that might have been bad.
That happened to me when I started practicing other styles. I started incorporating those things.
Yeah. If Taekwondo just teaches you this, that fixes like 90% of the habits.
Yeah. Actually, when I was coaching Taekwondo, I worked as a Taekwondo teacher for a long time. I would try to make everyone have more of a boxer's technique and boxer stance, and not be the guy who has their hands down all the time.
Right.
That guy from martial arts tutor or whatever he calls himself, martial arts idiot. Anyway, I've seen sparring videos of him. He keeps his hands low and he says, "Oh, that's just my style. I like to make the other guy come closer." Blah blah blah. That's bullshit. No good fighter is ever gonna fight with their hands down. That's just stupid. But I don't know. That's just me. Sorry if I mentioned that guy again. But when I see you, I remember that guy because you're the yin and yang. You're a guy you respect who knows what he's doing, and the other guy is just some dumbass.
Yeah, there's that Anderson Silva video I'm sure you've seen where he had his hands down and he was doing that kind of thing, and then he got caught and he got knocked out or whatever.
Yeah, but he was goofing around there also.
Yeah.
I would never goof around. I actually hate showboaters. I like, if you want to show off by showing skill, not goofing around.
Yeah.
So it's a satisfaction when you see a guy like that getting knocked out. It's not that I don't like Anderson Silva. I just don't like when guys do this stupid shenanigans,
dancing and yeah.
It's totally unnecessary and disrespectful.
Right.
Do you know? Do you watch a lot of kickboxing?
Not really. I might watch some highlights of something.
Okay, my favorite all-time kickboxer is Michael Zambidis.
I know him.
Okay,
So I like him because he's a smaller guy.
Yeah.
But he was very effective against taller, bigger opponents.
He knocked out big guys who had never been knocked out before. And it's like watching a Rocky movie. It's three rounds of nonstop punching. The guy was a machine.
Yeah.
But the thing I like the most about the guy is he never showboated. He never talked shit. Nothing, except with one Turkish guy who talked too much shit to him. So he did a little bit in the ring because he was angry at him. But the guy was super respectful and very down to earth. So I like that. The humility, it's lacking a lot. I think that's something that traditional martial arts do develop in people that is lacking a lot today.
I agree. I think a lot of the UFC guys are responsible for some of that. I know some local fighters that they literally have tried to change their persona, and they're online, they'll be on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. They'll change their persona to cast this character out there and act like Conor McGregor and shit talk and all this stuff, and they've said, "Oh, I need to pump myself up. I need to be more controversial so I can sell myself in these fights." And it's like, dude, that's not the right way to do it. You need to be a good fighter.
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, there's a couple of kids in my kickboxing gym who are maybe 15, 16. I don't remember how old they are, but they're really young kids. And they have a lot of talent and technique and everything and a lot of potential. But they've been watching McGregor so much, they started copying them, acting like buffoons. And I'm one of the guys in that gym that comes from martial arts. I'm really strict with discipline and stuff. And when they see me, they just suddenly change their behavior because they know I don't tolerate that shit.
Yeah.
And one of them was offered to fight professionally. He's really young. but the coach said, no, you're not going to fight professionally until you stop with the bullshit. So
Mhm.
now suddenly the guys will really well behave. Because
Yeah,
fortunately, in my gym, we don't like that nonsense, you know.
yeah.
It
They'll
takes you
they'll
down the
spend
wrong path.
they'll spend an hour on Twitter on their phone shit talking where
Yeah,
they could be spending an hour in the gym,
exactly.
training and focusing, things like that.
The very best fighters ever, even in MMA, they are the guys who talk the least, like Emelianenko or George St. Pierre. These guys,
Yeah,
they never
yeah,
talk. They just do whatever they have to do in the ring, but outside of the ring, they're not. Crow Cop also.
yeah,
You remember the fight with Wanderlei Silva
yeah,
in Pride?
yeah,
Wanderlei Silva talking shit like
yeah.
over and over, insulting his family and stuff. And I remember the interview with Crow Cop. He said, "This guy is insulting my sister, my mother. Well, when we get in the ring, I'm going to set it straight. I'm not going to say anything else in this interview." And he almost cracked his head open. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
seen that fight. He
I
hits him with a roundhouse and he splits like the whole
Yep.
sting. It's cut. It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Johanna Jędrzejczyk. I don't pronounce her name very well. Do you know who that is?
No, I don't know.
Oh, she's a female. Now she's in the UFC fighter, and she used to be one of my favorite fighters. I used to follow her before she was even in MMA. Back when she was just doing Muay Thai and stuff like that, I used to follow her. She was super quiet, super humble, awesome martial artist. But then as soon as she got into the UFC, she became a complete different person.
Wow.
And I think a lot of it is, I think Dana White might
Yeah.
put them up to it, and they require them to stir up the drama for ticket sales
Yeah.
and
It's that.
pay-per-view sales and things like that. And I don't like her anymore.
Yeah.
She turned into an ugly monster.
Yeah.
Just
That.
shit,
I.
talking
That's
and
one. The main reason I don't like the UFC is just all this bullshit like circus they're making.
yeah,
And if you watch the first two or three UFCs, there was nothing of that.
hmm
It was just
yeah,
fighting. There were some guys who were meatheads, but they were not doing all the
yeah,
circus that they're doing now.
hmm
This is just going downhill. But
yeah,
what can you
yeah.
expect?
Yeah, and Johanna always won back in the day when she was calm and quiet and normal. As soon as she started shit talking, she started losing.
Yeah,
She
it's
she
it's
lost.
probably it's like you say, they spend more time with the bullshit than actually
hmm
training.
Yeah.
There's okay, there's a female MMA fighter right now. She's called Angela Lee, and I've actually talked to her a few times,
Uh-huh.
and because she watches YouTube and stuff. Anyway, she's she's really good, and what I really like about that girl is that she's incredibly down to earth, humble, and she just focuses on training and improving herself. And she's the kind of person that will research something before giving an opinion.
hmm
And that's a very rare quality nowadays. I think Dana White just goes to uh, prisons and stuff to hire fighters now. It's just like whoever
Well,
has more tattoos and does the more like noise.
well, John Jones. I don't know why he keeps giving that guy more and more chances and more fights. He keeps getting busted for doping and
Shit.
keeps getting into legal trouble. I don't know if you know his whole
No, I haven't. I
story.
haven't been following that. Like
Oh,
after the whole McGregor thing, throwing something against like the chair against the bus.
oh yeah,
I've had enough of this.
yeah. John Jones has been caught with using illegal substances. He even substances not related to like steroids and stuff. He got caught with cocaine.
Whoa.
He got into a car accident where he hit a pregnant lady, and then he ran. He did a hit and run,
Fuck. Yeah,
and
that's
he and
bad.
yeah, he keeps doing all this stupid shit, and he keeps getting more and more chances to fight in the UFC.
Well, you know what? In the world of football or soccer, as you call it, these guys make millions and millions of dollars. So in the 80s, there was no control. Some South American would go to Italy or Spain and get multi-million-dollar contracts, and they would let them do whatever they wanted. Like they go out
hmm
with hookers and do drugs and whatnot, and it would destroy their careers. And for the clubs, it's a huge investment to have these players. So after the 90s and currently, the really big clubs, they
hmm
get them when they're really young, and they invest a lot on education,
hmm
mostly in Europe, not so much in Latin America, but in Europe it's a really important part of the whole development of the players is educating them so that they don't destroy their lives. I think they're going to have to do something like that with the UFC. If they actually want to take it seriously, they should, instead of doing all this circus stuff, they should try to form like more intelligent fighters who know what they're doing with their lives. But like you say, I think Dana White is just trying to make noise, and it's a mess. Also, you've met a bunch of YouTubers already.
Yeah, I've actually, you know, Master Ken from Enter the Dojo.
Yeah, of course.
I've met him, and I've been to his actual gym.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
What does he teach actually?
They do Kempo karate at an actual school in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And yeah, Todd and Ken, both those guys, I met them. Anybody else?
So you've met Ando, Shane.
Shane, Master Ken, and Todd. Yeah. I've been to a bunch of different. Yeah, and Rokas, of course. Yeah. I've been to a bunch of different.
I'm the smallest YouTuber of all the guys you've talked to. But you know, this is like I'm not like a commercial channel. I just do this for fun. So.
Yeah, I've trained at Greg. Do you know who Greg Jackson is, the MMA coach?
If I see him, I'll probably know who he is, but by name I can't.
He's like the most famous, most winning MMA coach in the UFC, and he just has a huge popular camp. Like Holly Holm, I don't know, anybody you name has basically come from his camp. And I've trained at one of his gyms, also in New Mexico. I've trained a bunch of different boxing gyms. When I go traveling, I like to go to boxing gyms usually because they're usually super easy to get into and super cheap. All you need is your gloves, and sometimes I do barefoot. Sometimes I take my boxing shoes with me.
You've been traveling all over the U.S. or were you abroad also?
In the U.S. I have a territory that I go for my work, for my day job.
Have you thought about going to another country?
I've always wanted to travel out of the country. I just haven't had the opportunity really.
We're
various reasons.
I've been talking with Rokas and the other guys that we might this year, maybe we all travel and meet up somewhere.
I have my high up Taekwondo grandmaster. He's a retired firefighter, and he's living in Thailand. And I've always wanted to go over there and visit Thailand.
That's actually where I'm thinking about going to meet.
That'd be. Yeah, maybe we can all plan that. It'd be a big Thailand meetup. Yeah,
that would be extraordinary. It's like the great meeting of all the guys.
Yeah.
The thing about Thailand is like, okay, for me, like Argentina is the bottom of we call in Spanish, we have an expression, culo del mundo, which is like the asshole of the world. It's far away from everything. So we're really isolated here. It's like Australia, but so the ticket is the expensive thing. But once you're there, it's actually very cheap.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about there, and I'd like to train a little bit Muay Thai and other stuff there. It'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm more of a Dutch kickboxing kind of guy, or K1 style, but I would love to train Muay Thai in Thailand. The thing about Muay Thai is that like you say, it's like they don't use such a varied arsenal of weapons.
Yeah,
I'm sure in its original form, I know there's actually a lot of more things to it, but as we have it currently, it's not so varied. Have you seen Let Way? That way they use headbutts and a lot of other stuff.
I've recently discovered that. Yeah, maybe like 3 months ago I found out about it. Yeah, and it totally changes the game. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's really interesting to watch, but I would never compete in that. The amount of injuries must be insane.
My MMA coach, he used to even do like bare knuckle matches, and he's thinking about doing some sort of event where they do the headbutting and everything too, but bare knuckle.
Actually,
it's kind of crazy.
You know, Basruten. He's actually the last interview I saw. I think he was talking with I don't know if he was talking with Joe Rogan or who it was, but he was talking about some guys want to start a bare knuckle boxing federation in the U.S. They called him to be one of the promoters, and he said, "Yeah, I would love to. It's like safer than actual boxing." I don't know. He has all this explanation why it's safer, but lots of cuts.
I think it's safer. It can be safer for trauma, but it's not safer for like exterior damage.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
you're gonna get that's what happened in Kyokushin. Originally, they had punches to the face, but they were all cut everywhere, blood all over. So they said, okay, we're not gonna punch the face anymore. but you can punch
Yeah.
the body. But yeah, the
Yeah.
face gets cut pretty easily.
Yeah. Maybe at least wear the MMA gloves or something.
The thing is that all those gloves, they protect your hand. It makes your hand into a weapon, so
Yeah.
it's complicated to see what is the best way. There's a lot of Irish boxing videos on YouTube. They're usually
the gypsies.
yeah, but they have they have like a federation or something. It's like they have an organization with rankings and stuff. But it's hilarious because it's these guys who beat the crap out of each other, and then 5 minutes later, they're all getting drunk at the gym. All their faces are destroyed, but they're just getting drunk. It's really interesting. But of course, it's not like a professional sports venue. But for them, it's legit, you know.
Yeah, and I've seen like the Russians. They'll take a boxing ring with like just four posts and some rope,
With
and they'll
sand.
just go to with sand or just a grass something, and they'll just in 5 minutes they have a huge crowd of people and a couple fights going on, and
and anyone can show up and fight.
Yep.
But the Russians, they're not like the rest of humanity.
Yeah.
All of them are badasses. I met a lot of Russians, and I remember I was in Asia. I came out of a club with some friends, and there was a couple of Russian guys in our group, and a fight started outside the club, and it was women beating on men and like men beating on women. It was just insane, punches flying all over the place. I was like, who are these guys? They're punching women, and the women were beating the shit out of some guys, and the Russian guys, oh, I know them, they're Russians. In Russia, this is normal. It's crazy. And one of my friends, an Italian guy, married a Russian girl, and one day he showed up with a black eye, and me and we were all playing soccer together in a team, and an English guy from the team and me were like, dude, what happened to you? Your face is all messed up. Did you get in a fight? Just my wife punched me because she thought I was cheating on her or something. It's okay. It's like, she's Russian. It's normal. It's not normal for us, but
wow.
Yeah, it's a very strong culture there. They're pretty hardcore. If you look for, I remember I looked for video compilations on YouTube, best fights of the year, like 2016 or something, 500 fights. 400 of them are just Russian guys beating the shit out of each other in the park, guys with suits, in school, and just anyone. Yeah. The other are just guys in the US, drunk guys, but most of it just Russian guys. And it's not ghetto guys, it's just random people, Yeah. They're not afraid of damage or anything. That's why they're so good in martial arts.
Well, have you seen those like team MMA fights?
Oh yeah,
they do in Russia. It's like 5-on-5.
Yeah, or the ones where they're like a shit ton of people in a park. It's like a camp.
Yeah, the huge like 50-on-50. Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, and then they have those. I think it's called M1, the medieval, where they're sword fighting and stuff, and wearing the shields and the armor and all that stuff. Yeah,
but at least the shield one, they have some kind of protection. The craziest thing is that after the ones that you were saying, where they're team guys or a bunch of guys, they beat the living shit out of each other and like kick a guy on the floor and stuff. And after it's done, they're all drinking beers like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Our Russians, they're really hardcore. Have you ever seen anything with Kyokushin?
Yeah. Actually, when I very first started Taekwondo, we didn't even call it Taekwondo. We called it karate. And we started with this family friend that started teaching my brother and myself and my little neighbor friend in his garage. And he used Japanese words and used basically called it karate, but it was like mixed with Taekwondo. And so he taught some things that were from some karate styles. And I actually hosted 2 separate years. I hosted a Japanese exchange student one year, and then another year another Japanese exchange student. And one of them did Kyokushin karate. He was a black belt, and he stayed with me for a year. And so I've seen quite a bit of karate styles and things like that.
I was asking because we're talking about the Russians, and in Kyokushin, the Russians are up there with the Japanese. They're the 2 best. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, with the Russians, it's like hitting a brick wall. They feel nothing, they're just, it's crazy. Those are the only humans I fear on this planet. the Russians. Yeah. Anyway, what are your plans for this year? We can talk 5 more minutes, then you can go. I need to sleep too, but
like like I was saying earlier, I need to kind of figure out what the next step is for 2019 for my FTF stuff. I need to, since I just moved to a different state, kind of just figure out what gyms are in my area, and if I want to go, scope out some gyms to go train at, or maybe see if I can get on, and have a teaching slot somewhere.
But if you've already patented the name, so are you trying to, you want to create like an organized structure for a proper organization already? You need instructors and stuff, right? You need to set some kind of program or something, or have you already have all that stuff?
Well, I have it all. A lot of it's kind of just on paper. Whoops. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. I hit my little button on my mic here. Yeah, a lot of it's just on paper though, or in my head, or just on my computer. I haven't quite figured out how to get it off the ground yet. And a lot of that has to do with like money and stuff too. I need to, I don't know if I want to just open up my own school, and with my day job that can make it difficult, because I like my job. I don't want to quit my day job either. And one thing I thought about doing is trying to see if have you ever been to Taekwondo tournaments where you have Taekwondo over here in the corner, and then over here in this corner there's like BJJ going on?
No, here it's like in Latin America, it's usually everything is its own thing. You don't usually mix it like that.
Okay, there have been some Taekwondo tournaments here that are like that, or there's there'll be an open tournament that'll have like karate, kung fu, and Taekwondo, and who knows what, and it's all mixed, and you'll be sparring. Usually it's like the karate point fighting rules, but you'll spar, and you'll be in mixed sparring with mixed guys, and mixed, they'll do their forms, and whoever just happens to look the best wins.
Here, what you have like that here is for full contact kickboxing or light contact. It's kickboxing basically, but any style can come in. But it wouldn't be a style per se. You would just say, okay, it's a full contact and light contact tournament.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking about doing, is maybe trying to piggyback onto an existing Taekwondo tournament where maybe I can, they're doing their WTF or ITF stuff over here, and maybe I can be in one side, even if it's only for exhibition, just to kind of get exposure. I can do like some freestyle, actually punching in the face, and it's full contact or whatever, FTF, Taekwondo stuff. And then even like I was saying, with the people who can come in and compete, it's open to anybody who would follow the FTF rules. So it's not just Taekwondo. A karate guy can come in and compete.
I think
whoever else.
Doing exhibitions is a good idea. Are you guys? Do you plan on using MMA gloves or boxing gloves?
I wanted to just use boxing gloves because I wanted to limit I don't want it to turn into MMA. I want it to be more striking based.
I like that.
And there are going to be some, like, you can, if you happen to trip somebody up, you can trip them up.
You can do some throws with gloves on. I really like this format because I don't like too much ground game. It's only fun for grapplers.
Yeah, you can clinch up and stuff, and if you happen to trip somebody up or do you can do a good head and arm hip toss with gloves on.
Yeah.
And it is possible. So if you do something like that, that's fine. But I don't want people rolling around on the ground, and I don't want people just hugging the whole time.
Actually,
trying to wrestle.
If I'm not mistaken, the original like full contact kickboxing rules had that. You could do shoulder hip toss. You could throw guys to the ground.
Right. Yeah.
But you don't see it anymore. But it used to be.
Yeah, you can't. I don't want people to just like do like a double leg takedown and dump somebody or something like that either. It has to be like an above the waist, something.
Yeah, I like that. I have a similar mindset to you. I think learning to grapple, of course, is important and useful, but it's just boring for me to watch that. I prefer to see clean throws and staying on your feet.
Right, and I'm just trying to keep Taekwondo and not let it turn into other things.
Yeah, you would just need to fix some of the applications, the boxing and whatnot, but keep it the way it is.
Right.
It's even in ITF. I see in the 90s, the punches were used a lot more. It was straight punches basically, but it was much more balanced than what it is now. Now everyone is just using side kicks all the time. And even for me, it's boring already. I've become more of a karate guy than a taekwondo guy myself, because it's just more interesting for me. And it's more fun to train and spar like that. Where once you start getting used to using low kicks and stuff, everything else feels very limited, at least for me. So
yeah.
you would apply low kicks, right? I imagine.
Yeah, there'll be low kicks. Yep, there's low kicks. So.
Yeah, it's just such a basic and useful weapon that I guess originally in Taekwondo there was so much consideration in protecting the practitioner that they thought maybe using low kicks was a bad idea. Also probably because, if you kick the legs, they're not going to kick high. Probably that's what they thought. But if you're well conditioned, you can still kick high as much as you want. It's just a matter of training.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm actually interested. I hope you upload videos of some training or something. I would like to see how you have students now, right?
No, I don't have an actual school right now. Well, I mean, I have my school back in Oregon, but I'm not there anymore. Okay. So I'm pretty much starting from scratch again in Arizona, trying to figure out what I got to do.
When you get a group running, it would be cool to see how you train your guys. It would be fun. If I ever go there, I would love to visit your dojo and train with you guys also.
Yeah.
But also, if you ever come to Latin America, let me know. Also, I gotta tell you how to watch out after your stuff so no one mugs you. Anyway, if anyone tried to mug you, it would be a terrible luck for them.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I'm really happy that we got this chance to talk.
Yeah, it's cool.
Time. I'm not gonna keep doing this, otherwise it's gonna be super long, and rendering this is gonna be a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, anytime you want to join us for a talk, or you have any interesting subject you want to discuss, I'm more than happy, and I'm sure Rokas and the other guys are also.
Yeah, let me know anytime you want to have me on.
Yeah. Okay, you're always going to be welcome, so thank you.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Yeah. Happy New Year, by the way.
Thanks, you too. I'll see you.
Okay, take care.